Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you how I made this fun bat-shaped album, which is perfect for your Halloween photos. So the shape of the album was cut with a die from scrapbook.com. It is the Halloween Bats die, which comes with a set of 5 shaped bats in different sizes. And I used the largest die in this set to make my album. And the largest die measures approximately 10 3/4 inches by 6 1/8 inch. And it will need a larger cutting plate for your die cut machine in order to use that very large bat die in the set. The website has dimensions for all of the dies that you see here, and I will have a link to this die and all products that I use for my album down in the description box below. I also want to quickly mention that scrapbook.com is having an amazing deal on this die set for only 2 days, October 6th and 7th, or while supplies last. And you can find that deal over on their website. Again, the link is down below. And I am participating in the scrapbook.com Bat Parade, which will give you a lot of inspiration using these bat dies. I will include a link to the Bat Parade down in the description box below, and basically that will show you so much more inspiration by several different designers that have used this set of dies to create beautiful projects. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you some of the other supplies that I used to create my album. The paper that I used is the Bella Boulevard Spell on You collection pack. It is the 12 by 12 papers, and it also includes a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. I'm not going to go through it right now because I already showed this on my YouTube channel, and I will link in the top right hand corner the video where I showed all of the papers in this pack. I also used the Bella Boulevard ephemera icons. Here's a look at all of the ephemera that's included in the kit. I obviously didn't use all of it, but I did use a large portion of this, in addition to the ephemera words. And here's a look at all of the words. There's also some tags in here. And I also used some of the puffy stickers that coordinate with this collection. So to make the pages in my album, I did use chipboard, and I have a piece of 12 by 12 chipboard, and I'm just measuring to see how large I need the chipboard. So I just placed my die over top of the chipboard while it was in my paper trimmer just to see how large I need this piece of chipboard, and I end up cutting it down to 6 3/4 inches. And then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. And the chipboard that I use, it's not too thick, so it actually is easy for me to cut with my rotary paper trimmer, and it's very easy to go through my die cutting machine as well. And I will have a link to this chipboard down in the description box too. So if you want to take a look and see what I actually used, you can look at that. But it works perfectly with my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. So you can see I have no issues putting it through that machine. I do go back and forth, just forward once and backward once, just to make sure I have a good cut. And then once I finish with that, you can see that it cuts through that chipboard without any issues. So there is how I do the page for my album, by cutting the chipboard. And I actually cut 11 pieces of chipboard out of this large bat die. Now you can determine how many pages in your album you want to use. I went with 11. If you want a smaller album, then you would need less chipboard, but if you want a larger album, just it all depends on how many pages you want. And now I'm ready to make my pages. So next I'm going to take my 12 by 12 papers, and I first need to decide what papers I want to use for the front of my album as well as the back of my album. So these are 2 papers that stood out to me, and I knew that I wanted to have the word Halloween on the front of the album as well as maybe a bat and a spider. So I'm just putting the ephemera pieces on top of the paper just to see what looks better underneath those ephemera pieces. And I'm thinking that the yellow pattern paper looks better. I think that you can see the words and the black bat a little bit more clear on that yellow. I think that it pops out a little bit better than on the purple. So for my album cover, I decided to go with this yellow pattern paper, and I just used some mint tape to hold the bat down, and you can see that I'm just using my scissors to cut around the bat. And by cutting around the bat, you're actually giving yourself some more room at the top of this pattern paper to die cut another bat. Because this bat die is taller than 6 inches, you cannot just take your paper trimmer and trim this 12 by 12 paper at the 6-inch mark, because then you would not have enough room to die cut your bat, and you would not be able to get 2 bats out of 1 sheet of pattern paper. So by doing it this way, you're able to get 2 bats out of 1 sheet of pattern paper. So I went ahead and ran this through my die cutting machine, and now I'm just going to take my glue, add glue to the back of the paper, and add it to the piece of chipboard. I do suggest using glue. You'll get a much stronger hold rather than using tape or a tape runner. So I'm just lining it up with the chipboard, and then I'm just going to give that a good press, and that'll be nice and secure. So this is going to be the front cover of my album. And then I'm going to work on the back cover for the album. And for the back cover of the album, I want to use the reverse of this pattern paper. So I'm going to flip this over real quick just so you can see the reverse. It has some striped border lines on it. And in order to get the back side of your bat, you have to die cut your bat on the opposite side of the paper that you want to use. So the opposite side would be this yellow pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and put my bat die on top of that, add some mint tape, and run that through my die cutting machine. And then the chipboard piece that I'm using, I actually flipped it over so I'm looking at the back of the chipboard. You really can't tell just by looking here on the screen, but this is the back. And you can see that it will line up perfectly. But before I put glue on this, I do want to just show you real quick. If I were to add the yellow pattern paper to the back side of the chipboard, you can see it's not going to line up perfectly. So that's why it's important that when you want to die cut the back side of the bat, that you put your die face down on the opposite side of the paper that you actually want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue here on my opposite side of the pattern paper, which is this yellow pattern, and then I'm going to add that to the back side of the bat chipboard piece. I'm going to set both of these pieces aside, and I want to do one more with you just so that you can see this again. So I have my bat die, and I am going to die cut this pumpkin paper. This is going to be for the front of the bat. I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut along where the die ends on this pattern paper. So remember, this is going to be the front of my bat, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back, and I'm going to add it to the front of my bat chipboard piece. So I'm popping in here the completed album. I want to show you that pumpkin page and how it's next to a green, more subtle piece of pattern paper. And that was actually the back side of the pumpkin page, this green paper. And I want to show you how we would die cut the back side of the bat. So to get the back side of this sheet of pattern paper to be face up on my bat, I need to die cut the bat on the pumpkin side. So I'm actually looking at the pumpkin side. I place my die down on the pumpkin side and run that through the die cut machine, and this time I'm going to take my piece of chipboard, I'm going to turn it over so that the back side is showing, and I'm also going to put glue then on the pumpkin side, which would end up being the piece that's glued down to the back side of the bat. So in order to die cut your pattern paper to cover the back side of your bat, you have to make sure that your die is placed face down on the opposite side of the pattern paper than you want. So go ahead and go through all of your pattern papers and decide which pages you want to be side by side, and go ahead and do all of the die cutting and gluing to the chipboard. Once you have all of that done, I'm just going to flip through my album and show you what I have. Now, the order of these pages does actually end up changing by the end of this video. I just wanted to show you what my initial thought process was on these pages, but as I said, they are going to end up changing somewhat. I also want to mention that this album is going to end up being on a ring, which you can add or remove pages as needed. So even if you decide to make a very short album, maybe even just 5 pages right now, you can always add to it later. So if you use a larger ring, you're able to add more pages than if you use a smaller one. So I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure all of my pages are lined up nice and even. And I just want to show you that if I turn this one piece over, you can see it's not going to line up because the back side does not line up with the front side. So you'll know if you need to flip your pages over or not. So everything should be nice and even. Next, I'm going to punch holes so that I can have my holes for my ring that's going to keep these together. And I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers Crop-A-Dial. This is the eyelet and snap punch tool, which will allow me to punch holes in this chipboard as well as set eyelets. So I am going to go ahead and use the side that is the 3/16 inch side, and I'm going to punch a hole in the very left hand side of the bat wing. And if you use a regular hole punch, this is not going to work because hole punches, just regular hole punches, do not punch through chipboard. You need to get one of these tools in order to punch through your chipboard. Once I have the cover with a hole punched in the side, I'm going to take the next page and just line it up with the cover. I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to put my pencil inside of the hole and just trace around it. Next, I'm going to take that second page and I'm going to put this Crop-A-Dial right through that second page. You can see there's a hole on the top of the Crop-A-Dial where you can actually see through it. And this will allow you to see the pencil mark that you just drew on that page so that you know that it is exactly lined up where it needs to be before you punch your hole. So I'm going to do this again to the next page, just lining up the bats, the cover with that third page. Here you can see the pencil mark a little bit better because the pattern paper is not so colorful. So I'm just lining that pencil mark inside of the hole of that Crop-A-Dial and then punching. This will ensure that you get the hole in the same exact place on every one of your pages. So you're going to go ahead and repeat that process for all of the remaining pages. Next, I'm going to take out my eyelets and I'm going to use a black eyelet. I'm actually going to need one for each of the pages that I have. These eyelets are just going to be pushed right into the hole, and then I'm going to be using my We Are Memory Keepers Crop-A-Dial again to set these eyelets. So I'm just going to place my Crop-A-Dial right over top of that eyelet and press the handle to set it in place. So now you can see that the back of that eyelet is actually pressed against the chipboard piece and it's not sticking up. So this just gives those holes a little bit more stability. And I do that for each one of the holes on all of the pages. So I put the eyelets in and then set them with my Crop-A-Dial. So because of the shape of this album, the pictures that you put in it have to be pretty small. So I took some pictures from my phone and I reduced the size. You can see I made a little collage where I was able to get 4 pictures on one sheet, and I used an app on my iPhone called Pic Collage in order to do this, and then I just printed these pictures out at Walgreens. So these individual pictures are about 3 by 2 inches, which an entire sheet of 4 pictures is a 4 by 6 photo. And you can take some of your nesting dies, here's a smaller circle die, and die cut some of the smaller images. Here's a small rectangle die, and you can see I can just cut out that picture of my son. It fits perfectly in there. I can even take the next size up and die cut a picture here of my son and daughter. and that will fit perfectly on that picture. And I want to just pull out an album page just to show you that these dies, these smaller dies, will fit in this album. So you can actually fit a circle if you wanted to on the wing. You can fit a circle here in the middle of the bat. You can also fit one of the rectangular dies in the middle of the bat. You can even put a rectangular die on the bat wing. You can see that the smaller dies will fit. I also want to show you that the mini slimline size dies, this is a set of mini slimline dies, and if you take one of the dies, you can actually fit straight across the front center of the bat. I could probably even go a little bit larger with this die. So depending on what the picture is that you're trying to cut out, you can use those mini slimline dies as well. So be creative with the dies that you have in your craft room to see how you can cut out your pictures. You can even fussy cut around the people that are in the pictures to get them just the shape that you want on your album. So now it's time for the fun part. Let's go ahead and decorate this album. I'm going to show you some of my process, but not all of it, just so that you can get a feel for how I do this. So I took this picture, I did die cut it with a rectangle die, but I feel like it gets lost on that pattern paper, so I cut out a little bit larger white rectangle as a mat. So I'm going to glue my picture down to the white rectangle and then glue that down to the album. And I think the white border separates itself a little bit better and makes that picture a little bit better to see on that page. I'm going to add a cloud puffy sticker in the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to add a pumpkin that says pumpkin patch to the lower right, and I added the pumpkin puffy sticker as well. And to finish up this page, I added the word boo to the top left hand side of the wing. For this page, I used a nested square die, and I cut out a piece of pattern paper as well as this picture of my son. And I'm just going to layer the pattern paper underneath the picture. Also going to add a pumpkin as well as a banner that says awfully cute, and then add another pumpkin to the top left corner of the page. For this page, I die cut some circles. You can see that the circle of my son, it actually cut a little bit of the white border of the picture on both sides, but I'll cover that up. So I'm going to add the picture of my son right in the center, and then add a couple of the circles on the left and right, which those circles I just die cut out of some of the pattern paper. So you can see how I'm covering up a little bit of the white portion of that picture with the teal circle. And then I'm also going to bring in an arrow. This is from the sticker page from the 12 by 12 collection kit. Since it does go off of that page, I'm just going to trim a little bit off of that arrow. And then I'll flip this page over and just trim off the piece that's hanging off of the edge. I'm also going to bring in the puffy stickers, and I'm going to use this puffy sticker ghost to cover up the white border of that picture and add a couple of the bats on the orange circle. I also add the word fun to the top left-hand corner. And to balance it out, I do add some stars to the right-hand corner as well as over top of the teal circle. For this page, I cut down some pattern paper, and you can see I'm just layering on a strip of the teal paper right through the center of the rectangle. I cut down this picture of my two children, and I also rounded the corners a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just glue this picture directly on to that pattern paper, and then glue the entire image with the pattern paper to the center of the bat. I'm going to take some puffy stickers, and I'm going to use this little witch hat puffy sticker and put it at the top of my daughter's head. I think that's so cute. Make it look like she has a little witch hat on her head. There are a couple of different witch hat stickers to choose from, and I decided to go with this purple one. I think that's so cute. And then I also add this little black cat puffy sticker off to the left here. And I'm also going to finish this up by adding these words that say "You are full of magic." Notice I just cut where I wanted to separate it because it was too long to fit on the page otherwise. So I just cut it after the word R, and then I'm just going to glue these words down to the bat. So it says, "You are full of magic." For this next page, I have this picture of my son I trimmed down, and I used a rectangle die to do that. And I'm going to take this tree ephemera piece and I'm just going to tuck it a little bit behind the picture. I will cut off the bottom of that tree as well because it's extending way beyond the bat wing. I also cut the orange pattern paper in 3 rectangular shapes, and I'm just tucking 3 pieces underneath the picture. I'm also going to add this ephemera piece of the spider. And I'll also trim off a little bit of the top part of the tree since it's extending beyond the top of the bat's wing as well. So for this page, I am adding a large word. It says wickedly, and I'm just going to add it across the entire bat. And using the stickers that came with the 12 by 12 sticker sheet with the paper pack, I am taking out the letters to spell the word cute, and I'm just aligning that underneath the word wickedly. I was going to go at a diagonal, which was the same shape as the word wickedly, but then I decided to change it up and just put them in a straight line. So next I am going to take this cat piece of ephemera and just add it above the W. And then I have this little picture of my daughter that I fussy cut out, and it's the perfect size to fit right over top of the I in wickedly. I think that's adorable. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a witch hat to the cat, and that's going to complete that page. For this page, I cut this little banner in half, and I'm just going to use part of the banner to tuck under the picture, and I'm also going to add the words "carving out the good times." I also rounded the corners on this picture because I felt like it fit a little bit better on this page with the rounded corners. And I'm also going to take a pumpkin ephemera piece and add it to the left. For this page, I'm using the scrapbook.com nested pocket dies. There are 4 pocket dies, and I'm using the smaller one in this set, but I just want to show you how these pocket dies will cut out your cardstock and put the score lines in them. So all you have to do is fold at the score lines and then glue them down to your page. So this one here is just a sample that I had, and it was cut with the second smallest pocket die, which is a little bit large for this album. I'm going to be using the smallest pocket die. You can see how it fits perfectly in the center of this bat. So I went ahead and die cut a piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to go ahead and fold out the score lines and just smooth that out with my bone folder. And then I'm going to take some glue and put it on the outside of those flaps, and then just press that down into the center of the bat. I'm going to use a scallop border sticker. I actually thought these were 2 individual stickers, but they're not. It's 1 complete sticker. So I have to just cut this because I don't want to use the orange and purple. I just want to use the purple one. So I'm just cutting along the white line and then just trimming off about the size that I think I'll need. And here I'm just straightening up this cut and just trimming off the white. I'm going to add this to the bottom of this pocket. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess. So I'll just press that down. And then I'm going to add the I Want Candy square right to the center. So if you have additional pictures that you want to keep in your album, you can store them in this pocket. You can also put a tag. This tag is from one of the ephemera packs, and I just put a ribbon on the end. And then I'm just going to add some more ephemera to this page. So I have some more candy pieces and a spider, and I'll glue all of those down. I did save the cover page to the end, but I do suggest that you look at all your ephemera at the beginning and make sure you set aside the ephemera that you want to use for your cover page. That way you don't accidentally use it when you're putting the ephemera on the pages. So I put the word Halloween across the front and some clouds and bats, and I'm just layering the bats over the clouds. I'm also adding the word memories. That is a sticker from the sticker sheet. Finally, after all of my pages are done, and I did work off several pages off camera, and I'll show all of those to you in just a moment, but I took a large ring and I opened it up, and I'm just putting all of the pages on this album ring. And depending on how many pages you have, you can see how large this album ring is. You can add more to it if you wanted to. I have 11 pages here, and I could probably add a few more. This is a 1.5 inch album ring. Finally, I'm just taking some ribbon. I have a black and an orange. Actually, I have like a sheer black, a solid black, and then an orange piece of ribbon, and I'm just layering those up, and I'm just going to tie them in a knot around the album ring. So now I want to go ahead and just show you the completed album. So I'll flip through all the pages. You saw the front cover, and when I open it up, I just have this page that says Happy Halloween with a couple of lollipops, and then this page that I showed you on camera. And then when I flip it, I have the one with the circles, and then across from that, I have this one of my son holding the pumpkin on his head. Okay, and then I have the You Are Full of Magic with my son and daughter. And then I just have a Hocus Pocus with a witch ephemera piece. And then the Wickedly Cute with my daughter there holding her pumpkin bag. And then I have another page here with my son with the tree and the spider. Okay, these pages here I did not show on camera. I have just a sentiment that says Make Today Magical with a witch, and then here I fussy cut out my son and just put a white border around him with cardstock and added some puffy stickers. And then this page I showed you on camera, and then the opposite page is my daughter with a cat and the title that says Love This. And then here I have a green page with some pictures of my sons and some frogs, and then I have this one dressed as a pumpkin. And then when I turn the page, I have another just title page. This one says Trick or Treat. The opposite page, I have a picture of my kids in the center with some stickers and some ephemera pieces. And then on the purple page, I have all three of my kids going trick-or-treating. And I have a title that says Which Way to the Candy with a bat. I have a cat ephemera piece with a moon, which I just die cut out of a circle die. And on the opposite page, I have some more ephemera pieces and the title Boo. Here I added some more puffy stickers and some titles, and then this is the page that I created that has the pocket. And then the back of the album is just the pattern paper. So I would love to hear what you thought of this album. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Just as a reminder, all supplies will be listed in the description box below and on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. There will be a link to the coordinating blog post down in the description box for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more crafty inspiration from me, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.